Now, if Congress had failed to reach a short-term deal, federal workers would have faced furloughs and millions would have to work without pay.
So now lawmakers have until November 17th to try and make sure that doesn't happen.
Joining us in studio tonight with a look at how the next 45 days may play out is Stephen Goggins, an assistant professor of political science at San Diego State. Thank you so much for coming in.
Of course, thanks for having me.
We spoke earlier this week. We did an interview together and we were talking about, was this inevitable? What's going to happen? And it was anyone's guess, but here we are with this stopgap plan. So what does that mean and what's going to happen over these next 45 days?
Sure, so continuing resolutions like this are extraordinarily common. And so over the next 45 days, they basically have that time to sort out a budget. So normally there are 12 different appropriations bills that could get passed in some form or kind of all together. And so likely they'll spend that time hammering out the differences. Obviously the clean kind of resolution that came forward minus the Ukraine aid was what could get it done temporarily. But it's unlikely that many of kind of the right flank of the Republican Party in the House will come around on many of these issues. And so while there may be progress in negotiations, it's unclear exactly whether we'll see the same exact issues in 45 days, because it seems quite likely that that would be the case.
Because it seems to me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, that all we're really doing is just kind of kicking the can down the road 45 days. So will we have these same problems holding us up? I mean, it seemed like it was very contentious what was taking place, and 45 days is not that long.
No, it isn't. And I think it'll be really telling what happens this week. So Matt Gaetz has said that he'll file a motion to vacate the speakership. And so what happens with that, whether Democrats come to the aid of Kevin McCarthy in that, will really kind of tell the story of what's going to happen in the next 45 days. So if that were to be successful, that would be obviously throw the House into quite a bit of chaos given how long it takes to come around with a speaker. But if in fact he survives that, potentially with Democratic help, who maybe asked for something in negotiation in return for that, then it seems pretty likely that they might come to some deal and have the Democratic support down the road that Kevin McCarthy would rely on, since he can't fully unite his caucus and come out with a majority.
So a lot happening over the next 45 days, but when it gets to that 45-day mark, is there going to be one sticking point that'll prevent us from getting a permanent budget?
Sure. So the aid for Ukraine, as President Biden spoke today and many others, right, they've kind of hammered out a plan for that and might bring that up in various other funding bills in the very near future. There are, right, a number of drastic cuts to various domestic programs that Republicans initially proposed, and then McCarthy kind of went back on in the past week and with this clean resolution. I don't know that those will come up again, but it's possible they might. There's a number of different angles here, and one of the reasons why this shutdown, or this threat of a shutdown, was particularly unique is that many kind of on the right wing of the Republican Party didn't have a ton of very specific demands. They just had frustration with McCarthy for working with Democrats, which he seems likely to do in the future to actually get something done, which might frustrate them further. Which
kind of leads me into my next question is, we've seen government shutdowns before, but usually it's Democrats, Republicans, we can't agree. It seems like this time we have Republicans and Republicans who can't agree to even get something to Democrats to try to work out a deal. Have you ever seen anything like this? I mean, I just feel like we're in uncharted territory.
Right, it is relatively unique. We saw a couple of the shutdowns under Trump where they had a Republican president, a Republican House, and a Republican Senate. Also, right, the government shut down in those circumstances, but those are by far the exception, not the norm, right? Of the 21 shutdowns that happened, the vast majority are when you have one right party as the president and the Congress sitting opposite. So it's really a unique situation, and the very slim majority that Kevin McCarthy has puts him in a really tenuous position, not just for this shutdown, but also, right, keeping the speakership and everything else that the Republican majority might try to do over the next year.
Well, today I heard Speaker McCarthy say, when questioned about losing his seat, he said, bring it on, I'm ready for the fight, but let's just get back to work. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 45 days and then after. So thank you so much, Professor Goggins, for coming in. I'm sure we will be reaching out again for your expertise.
Hopefully not see you in 45 days.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.